was the man that soldiers swore could not be killed by bullets? Who was the shadow that haunted the deserts of the Southwest, striking armies twice his size and vanishing into the rocks as if the earth itself opened to protect him? His name was Geronimo, born among the Chiricahua Apache, and his life would become one of the most extraordinary legends in American history. But his story did not begin with victory or glory. It began with grief so deep that the desert itself seemed to answer his cries. The Chiricahua Apache lived in a world both harsh and sacred. The land of their birth was no gentle home. Mountains that tore into the sky, canyons carved by centuries of wind and water, and deserts that could kill the unprepared in a single day. Yet the Apache did not see it as hostile. To them, the earth was alive, a living being filled with spirits. They believed every rock carried memory, every stream spoke with the voices of their ancestors, and every animal was a brother or sister lending its strength. For the Apache, survival was not simply endurance, it was a dance with the land. Geronimo was born into this world around 1829. From his earliest years, he learned the ways of the warrior and the hunter. He tracked deer through the dust, moved silently across dry stone, and rode horses so swiftly that he seemed a part of them, flowing like water over their backs. His elders taught him to listen to the earth, to see patterns invisible to others, the broken twig, the faint print, the flight of birds that revealed where prey or enemies had passed. Life was hard, but it was theirs, and it was filled with family, tradition, and the endless sky. As a young man, Geronimo grew strong, tall, and respected among his people. He married, took a wife, and soon had children. His world was small but full, the laughter of his children, the warmth of his mother, the honor of providing for his family, and the joy of feasts and dances around the fire. He was not yet the Geronimo feared by nations. He was simply Goyahkla, his Apache name, meaning one who yawns. Then came the moment that shattered his life forever. In 1851, while Geronimo and a group of Apache men were away on trade, a unit of Mexican soldiers attacked their encampment. The Apache camp was defenseless, filled with women, children, and the elderly. The soldiers struck with ruthless precision. When Geronimo returned, he found only silence and death. His wife had been killed, his mother, too. His 3 young children lay lifeless. The fire of his world had been snuffed out in a single day. Imagine the stillness of that scene. A man kneeling in the dust, his hands trembling as they touched the lifeless bodies of those he loved most. His mind empty, his heart broken beyond repair. There are moments in history when a single tragedy reshapes a destiny, when grief burns so hot that it forges something unbreakable. For Geronimo, this was that moment. He wandered into the desert, his spirit crushed. For days, he neither ate nor drank, only prayed. He asked the earth, the spirits, the ancestors, "Why was I spared? Why did the soldiers not take me too?" And then, as Apache tradition remembers, he heard a voice. Some say it came from the mountain winds, others from the depths of his own soul. The voice said, "You will never die in battle. No bullet will touch you. You will fight until the end of your days." Was it a vision? A dream? Or the desperate imagination of a grieving man? No one knows. But Geronimo believed it. And from that moment, his path was set. He returned from the desert changed. No longer the gentle father and husband. He was now something else, something forged in fire. A man who carried death with him, but who also carried the hope of his people's survival. He began to fight with a ferocity the Mexicans had never seen. Leading small bands of Apache warriors, he struck swiftly and vanished into the desert. He moved as if guided by unseen hands, charging into gunfire with no fear. Mexican soldiers claimed that bullets could not harm him, that he walked through storms of lead untouched. When they screamed his name in battle, Geronimo, it was both a curse and a cry of fear. That Spanish cry became the name the world would know him by. To his people, he was no longer Goyahkla, the one who yawns. He was Geronimo the Avenger, the storm, the man blessed by the spirits. Each raid, each strike, carried not only vengeance, but also resistance. For the Apache, he was proof that they were not powerless, that even against nations and armies, the spirit of their people lived. But vengeance always has a cost. The raids into Mexico drew more soldiers, more retaliation, and with each year, the struggle grew heavier. Geronimo's legend spread beyond the mountains. To Americans who were pushing westward, seizing Apache land, he was a figure of dread. Newspapers painted him as a savage, a murderer, a ghost who could never be caught. But for the Apache, he was a shield, a reminder that they would not vanish quietly. What is remarkable is not only his skill in battle, but the way his people believed in him. Many Apache warriors swore they saw bullets miss him at point-blank range, ricocheting off rocks or passing harmlessly through his clothing. Whether truth or myth, belief gave them strength. Geronimo became larger than life, a living legend whose very presence turned fear into courage. The land itself seemed to fight beside him. The Chiricahua Mountains, with their narrow canyons and twisting paths, became his fortress. The deserts of Arizona and New Mexico, brutal to outsiders, became his ally. He knew where to find water when others would die of thirst, how to vanish into caves, how to move faster across stone than any pursuer. To fight Geronimo was not only to fight a man, but to fight the desert itself. Yet beneath the legend, he was still human, a man who had lost everything and found purpose only in battle. One can imagine the weight of carrying such pain, of knowing every raid, every strike, was not only for resistance, but also for ghosts. And so the story of Geronimo truly begins not with his capture, not with his fame, not even with his endless battles, but with loss so profound that it turned an ordinary man into something extraordinary. His life became a symbol of survival, of defiance, of the unbreakable will of a people who refused to be erased. From the ashes of his family, Geronimo rose as a storm. And though the armies of Mexico and soon the United States would send thousands to hunt him, he carried with him the prophecy of the desert, that he would never fall in battle, that his spirit was eternal. Was it true? Was he truly touched by the spirits, made immortal by fate? Or was it his unshakable belief that gave him the strength to defy bullets and bayonets for decades? That is the mystery of Geronimo, a mystery that still echoes today. What cannot be denied is this: from one man's grief, a legend was born. A legend that would haunt empires and inspire warriors long after his death. And as the sun sank behind the mountains and shadows stretched across the desert, the man once called Goyahkla was gone. In his place stood Geronimo, the immortal warrior, the ghost of the Apache, the man who turned tragedy into resistance and became one with the land itself.